My best friend's name was Lauren Mitchell, and for 23 years, I believed she was the closest thing I had to a sister. We met in college, freshman orientation at NYU, both of us wide-eyed and terrified, both from small towns trying to make it in the big city. She was from rural Pennsylvania. I was from a suburb outside Charlotte, North Carolina. We became roommates by chance and best friends by choice. Lauren was there when I met my husband. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. She was in the delivery room when I had both my daughters. She was the godmother to my oldest child. She was the person I called when something good happened, when something bad happened, when nothing happened but I needed to talk anyway. For 23 years, Lauren Mitchell was my family. And then I discovered that for the last 7 of those years, she had been systematically dismantling my entire life, while I watched and trusted and believed her when she said she was helping. My name is Rebecca Harrison, though by the time I figured out what Lauren had done, I'd lost the right to use my married name. I'm 45 years old. I used to be a successful interior designer with my own firm. I used to be married to a man I loved. I used to own a beautiful home in Westchester County, New York. I used to have a best friend who I would have trusted with my life. Now I have none of those things. But I have something better. I have a plan, and the patience to execute it, and 7 years of rage that I've refined into something precise and devastating. This is the story of how my best friend took everything from me, and how I took everything she built on the ruins of my life and burned it to the ground. Let me start by telling you what my life looked like before Lauren decided she wanted it. I married James Harrison when I was 26. We'd been dating for 4 years, met at a gallery opening in Manhattan, fell in love over shared interests in art and architecture and long conversations that stretched until 3 in the morning. James was an investment banker, successful and ambitious, and handsome in that particular way that men who wear expensive suits and know it are handsome. Lauren loved James, or at least that's what she told me. "You're so lucky, Becca," she'd say, watching James and me at dinner parties, at weekend getaways, at the small domestic moments that make up a marriage. "He's perfect. You're perfect together. I'm so jealous." I thought she meant she was jealous that I'd found someone. I didn't know she meant she was jealous of me specifically, that she wanted what I had, that she was willing to take it. We had 2 daughters, Emma and Sophie. Emma was born when I was 28. Sophie arrived 3 years later, beautiful girls with James's dark eyes and my auburn hair. Smart, funny, loved, the center of my entire world. Lauren was part of their world too. Aunt Lauren, they called her. She babysat when James and I needed date nights. She came to every birthday party, every school play, every family vacation. She took Emma shopping for her first day of middle school. She taught Sophie how to French braid her hair. She was family. I built my interior design firm, Harrison Interiors, when Emma started kindergarten. Started small, doing residential projects for friends and referrals, building a portfolio and a reputation. By the time Sophie was in 2nd grade, I had 12 employees, an office in Manhattan, and a client list that included some of the wealthiest families in New York. I was successful, self-made, proud of what I'd built. James was proud too, or at least that's what I thought. It's hard to know now what was real and what was performance. Memory becomes unreliable when you learn that the person you trusted most was lying to you for years. We lived in a 5-bedroom colonial in Scarsdale, beautiful house, everything I designed myself, every room exactly as I dreamed it. The kitchen had custom cabinets and marble countertops. The master bedroom had French doors opening onto a balcony overlooking the garden. The girls' rooms were painted their favorite colors and filled with light. I loved that house. I designed it, decorated it, filled it with memories. It was the physical manifestation of everything I'd worked for. Lauren loved it too. "I want a house exactly like this someday," she'd say, walking through the rooms with that expression I'd learned to recognize, the one that looked like admiration, but that I now understand was assessment. "You have such amazing taste, Becca. I could never do what you do." I believed her. I thought she was complimenting me. I didn't know she was taking notes. For 23 years, Lauren was my best friend. For 16 of those years, she was also slowly positioning herself to take my place. And for the last 7 years, she stopped positioning and started executing. The thing about betrayal is that you never see it coming from the person you trust most. Strangers, acquaintances, colleagues, you maintain healthy boundaries with them. You watch for red flags. You protect yourself. But your best friend, the person who's been there for every major moment of your life, you don't protect yourself from her. You let her all the way in. You give her keys to your house and access to your marriage and intimate knowledge of everything that matters to you. You make yourself completely vulnerable because that's what friendship is. And if that person decides to weaponize your vulnerability, you're already destroyed before you realize what's happening. It started small, or at least it seemed small at the time. Lauren had always been single. She dated, but nothing ever stuck. "I'm too picky," she'd say with a self-deprecating laugh. "I want what you have, Becca, the perfect marriage, the perfect family, but I can't seem to find my James." Looking back now with clearer eyes, I can see that Lauren wasn't looking for her own James. She wanted mine. 7 years ago, Lauren's career hit a rough patch. She'd been working in pharmaceutical sales, making good money but hating the job. She'd been talking about quitting for months but couldn't figure out what to do instead. "Why don't you work with me?" I suggested. We were having lunch, our weekly Thursday tradition, something we'd maintained for 15 years. "You're great with people. You could do client relations for Harrison Interiors. I've been meaning to hire someone anyway." Lauren's face lit up. "Really? You'd hire me?" "Of course. You're brilliant. You'd be amazing at it." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're such a good friend, Becca. I don't know what I'd do without you." I hired her the following week, gave her a generous salary, benefits, a beautiful office, introduced her to all my clients, brought her into the inner workings of the business I'd spent a decade building. I gave her access to everything. And she took it. For the first year, Lauren was the perfect employee, charming with clients, organized, efficient. She took work off my plate and let me focus on design while she handled the business side. My revenue increased, my stress decreased. "I don't know how I managed without you," I told her at her 1-year work anniversary. "You've been incredible." "We make a great team," she said, smiling that smile I'd known for 2 decades and trusted completely. Around the same time, James started working longer hours. "Big case at the firm," he said. "High-pressure clients." He'd come home at 9, 10, sometimes 11 at night, exhausted and distracted. "I'm sorry I'm not around more," he'd say, kissing me on the forehead in that absent way that I told myself was just tiredness. "This project is killing me, but it'll be over soon." It wasn't over soon. It went on for months. A year, 18 months. I was lonely. The girls were in middle school and high school by then, busy with their own lives. James was never home. My work was demanding. I felt like I was managing everything alone. Lauren noticed. Of course she noticed. She was always paying attention. "You seem stressed," she'd say, watching me at the office. "When's the last time you and James went out, had a real date?" "I don't remember." "That's not good, Becca. You need to prioritize your marriage. I can cover things here if you want to take a long weekend with James. Get away, reconnect." She was so helpful, so concerned, looking out for me the way best friends do. I tried. I planned a weekend getaway. James canceled at the last minute. Work crisis, couldn't be helped. I planned date nights. He was too tired, too stressed, too distracted. I tried to talk to him about how distant he seemed. He said I was overreacting, being needy, not understanding the pressure he was under. I started to wonder if something was wrong with me, if I was the problem, if I was being too demanding. Lauren reinforced this, gently, carefully, in ways that seemed like support. "James works so hard for you guys," she'd say. "He's providing this amazing life. Maybe you should be more patient with him, more understanding." "You're right," I'd say. "I'm being selfish." "Not selfish, just maybe not seeing things from his perspective. I believed her. I trusted her. I made myself smaller, less demanding, more understanding. Meanwhile, James grew more distant, and Lauren grew more involved in my business, my home life, my marriage. She started stopping by the house more often. Just checking on you, she'd say, making sure you're okay. Sometimes James would be home when she visited. They'd talk about work, about the markets, about things I didn't understand or care about. I was glad they got along. Glad my husband and my best friend liked each other. I was so stupid. I didn't find out about the affair until it had been going on for 2 years. 2 years of Lauren sleeping with my husband while sitting across from me at Thursday lunches, while babysitting my daughters, while working in the business I'd built, while telling me she loved me like a sister. 2 years of James coming home to me every night, kissing me hello, making love to me occasionally in that dutiful way that married couples sometimes do, all while he was in love with my best friend. I found out because Emma saw them. Emma was 16. She'd gone into the city with friends to see a movie. They decided to grab dinner after. She texted me the casual update that teenagers give parents. At the Italian place near Times Square, home by 10. She came home at 8:30, walked into the house white-faced and shaking. "Mom," she said, and her voice was breaking. "Mom, I saw Dad." "Oh, good," I said, distracted by my laptop, by the design proposal I was reviewing. "Did you say hi?" "He was with Aunt Lauren." "Okay," still not understanding, still innocent. "Mom," Emma's voice cracked completely. "He was kissing her. They were holding hands and he was kissing her like he kisses you." The world stopped. I made Emma repeat it, made her tell me exactly what she saw, where they were, what they were doing. A restaurant 3 blocks from James's office. James and Lauren sitting in a booth, holding hands across the table. James leaning in to kiss her, not a peck, a real kiss. Intimate, familiar, the kiss of 2 people who'd done this many times before. Emma had stood there frozen. They hadn't seen her. She backed away, grabbed her friends, left, came home to tell me. I called James immediately. "Where are you?" "Office, working late, you know how it is." "Are you alone?" "Of course, why?" "Come home now." He tried to argue. I hung up. He arrived 40 minutes later. I was waiting in the living room. Emma was upstairs with Sophie, both girls behind a closed door, both of them knowing something terrible was happening. "What's going on?" James asked, loosening his tie, playing casual. "Emma saw you tonight." Something flickered across his face. "Saw me where?" "With Lauren, kissing her, in a restaurant near your office." Silence. The kind of silence that means you've caught someone and they're calculating whether to lie or confess. He confessed. Not because he felt guilty, but because denying it would have been pointless. "How long?" I asked. "Does it matter?" "How long?" 2 years. 2 years. 730 days of lying to my face. Of sleeping in our bed and kissing me hello and pretending to be my husband while he was in love with my best friend. "I'm sorry," he said, and he sounded almost bored. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did." "It just did," I repeated, "for 2 years." "I love her, Rebecca. I'm in love with her. I have been for a while. I didn't know how to tell you." "You didn't know how to tell me. You were fucking my best friend." "Don't be crude." "Get out. This is my house too. Get out or I'm calling the police and telling them you've been having an affair with your wife's employee in her place of business, and that constitutes sexual harassment and workplace misconduct and fraud." I had no idea if that was true, but it sounded true enough. James believed it. He left. I called Lauren. "Hey," she answered, bright and cheerful. "What's up?" "I know." Pause. "Know what?" "That you've been fucking my husband for 2 years." Longer pause, then, "Becca." "Don't, just don't. I want you out of my business tomorrow. Consider yourself fired, and don't ever contact me again." "Becca, please let me explain." I hung up. Then I went upstairs to my daughters and told them their father was in love with Aunt Lauren and wouldn't be living with us anymore. Emma cried. Sophie, 13 and too young to fully understand, asked if it was her fault. No, baby, this is not your fault. This is Dad's fault, and Aunt Lauren's fault, not yours. That night was the worst night of my life, worse than what came after. Because that night, I was still naive enough to think that finding out about the affair was the worst thing that could happen to me. I didn't know yet that Lauren and James had been planning this for months, that the affair was just the beginning, that what came next would destroy everything I'd built. James filed for divorce 3 days later. His lawyer was expensive, ruthless, and very good at her job. My lawyer was a family friend I'd hired based on trust rather than competence. First mistake. The divorce proceedings were brutal. James wanted full custody of the girls. Claimed I was an unfit mother because I worked too much, because I'd neglected the marriage, because I was emotionally unstable. I fought back, brought up the affair, brought up his absence from the girls' lives, his workaholism, his betrayal. His lawyer argued that the affair was a symptom of marital breakdown, not a cause. That James had sought comfort elsewhere because I'd pushed him away. That I'd prioritized my career over my family. Your Honor, James's lawyer said in court, Mr. Harrison has been the primary financial provider for this family. He's maintained stability while Mrs. Harrison has pursued a demanding career that has required her to work long hours, travel for business, and frequently be unavailable to her children. He's seeking custody because he's concerned about their well-being in an environment where their mother is distracted and overextended. It was masterful. It took everything I'd worked for, my successful business, my financial independence, and twisted it into evidence of negligence. The judge was a 60-year-old man who looked at me with the expression of someone who'd already decided I was exactly the kind of woman who'd chosen career over family and deserved what I got. Joint custody, but primary residence with James. The girls would live with him during the week, with me on weekends. I lost my daughters. The house, the beautiful house I'd designed, the home I'd built, was marital property. We'd have to sell it and split the proceeds. My business, Harrison Interiors, was more complicated. James had invested in it early on. His lawyer argued he was entitled to a significant portion of its value. My lawyer, incompetent and outmaneuvered, agreed to a settlement that gave James 40% of my business. I was devastated, but I still had 60%. I still had my company. I could rebuild. That's what I thought. I didn't know that Lauren had been planning for this for months, that she'd been setting up her own company, that she'd been quietly reaching out to my clients, that she'd been positioning herself to take everything the moment the divorce was finalized. 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, Lauren launched her own interior design firm, Mitchell Interiors. She didn't just start a competing business, she stole mine. 60% of my clients left Harrison Interiors and moved to Mitchell Interiors within the first month. These weren't random clients. These were my biggest accounts, the ones that generated the most revenue, the ones I'd spent years cultivating. Lauren had reached out to them personally, told them she was leaving Harrison Interiors to start her own firm, told them she'd been the real talent behind the business, told them she could offer them the same quality work at lower rates. She'd been planning this for months, building relationships with my clients, positioning herself as indispensable, making sure they liked her better than they liked me. When she left, they followed. My revenue dropped by 70% almost overnight. I had to lay off 8 of my 12 employees. The ones who remained were the junior staff, talented but inexperienced, not capable of running projects independently. I tried to fight back, tried to win back clients, but Lauren had poisoned the well. She told people I was difficult to work with, that I'd become unreliable after my divorce, that she'd been covering for me for years. It was all lies, but it didn't matter. The clients believed her. Within 6 months, Harrison Interiors was failing. I couldn't make payroll. I couldn't pay office rent. I was drowning in debt. I had to close the business I'd spent 15 years building. Lauren's business, meanwhile, was thriving. She'd taken my clients, my reputation, my business model. She'd even hired away 3 of my best employees. And then she married James. They had a small ceremony at City Hall. No big wedding, just the 2 of them and a handful of witnesses. Emma texted me a photo. She was there. So was Sophie. My daughters at their father's wedding to my former best friend, smiling in the photograph like everything was fine. I stared at that photo for hours. James in a suit, Lauren in a white dress. My daughters on either side of them, the perfect family. The family they'd built on the ruins of mine. The year after my divorce was the worst year of my life. I lost my business. I lost my home, had to sell the Scarsdale house and move into a small 2-bedroom apartment in Yonkers. I lost my daughters, who lived with James and Lauren during the week and came to visit me on weekends like I was some distant aunt they had to be polite to. I lost my friends. Most of them were couple friends I'd had through James, and they sided with him and Lauren. The betrayed wife is awkward to be around. The woman who lost everything makes people uncomfortable. I lost my identity. I'd been Rebecca Harrison, successful designer, beloved wife, devoted mother. Now I was Rebecca Harrison, divorced, broke, alone. I was 42 years old, and I had nothing. I thought about giving up. Thought about it a lot, actually. Sat in my small apartment and wondered what the point was of continuing. Everyone I'd loved had either betrayed me or been taken from me. Everything I'd built was gone. But I didn't give up. Because in the deepest part of that darkness, I realized something. I was tired of being the victim. Tired of crying, of feeling sorry for myself, of letting Lauren and James win. They'd taken everything from me, but they'd also made a critical mistake. They'd underestimated me. They thought I was broken, thought I'd stay broken, thought they'd destroyed me so thoroughly that I'd never be a threat to them again. They were wrong. I started planning my comeback the day I hit bottom. Not a revenge fantasy, a real, actionable plan. Lauren had built Mitchell Interiors on the foundation of my reputation, my clients, my work. She'd taken everything I'd created and put her name on it. Fine. I was going to take it back, all of it, and then I was going to destroy her the way she'd destroyed me. But I was going to do it legally, methodically, and in a way that she'd never see coming until it was too late. The first thing I did was get a better lawyer. Patricia Chen was a shark, cutthroat, expensive, and brilliant. She built a reputation taking down men in nasty divorces and had recently expanded to corporate law. I couldn't afford her, but I called her anyway. "Ms. Harrison," she said when I walked into her office, "I'm aware of your case. I'm sorry for what you went through. I want to reopen the divorce settlement." "On what grounds?" "Fraud. My ex-husband's lawyers concealed assets, and my former friend committed tortious interference with my business relationships." Patricia's eyes sharpened. "Explain." I laid it all out. The affair that started while Lauren was my employee. Her systematic cultivation of my clients while on my payroll. Her theft of proprietary client lists and business strategies. The coordinated timing of the divorce and her business launch. "She was planning this for months while working for me," I said. "She used her position in my company to build relationships with my clients and then stole them the moment she left. That's not just unethical, it's illegal." Patricia smiled. "Yes, it is." "Can we sue?" "We can, but litigation is expensive. You said you can't afford me." "I'll find a way." "There might be another option." Patricia leaned forward. "What if I take your case on contingency? I don't get paid unless we win. And when we win, I take 30% of whatever we recover." "Why would you do that?" "Because I've looked into Mitchell Interiors. Your former friend built a very successful business very quickly. Too quickly. Which means she's vulnerable. If we can prove she built it using stolen client relationships and proprietary information, we can take a significant portion of her assets. Possibly the business itself." "I want the business." "Then let's get it for you. For 6 months, Patricia and I built an airtight case against Lauren. We subpoenaed her emails from the period when she was still my employee. Found hundreds of messages to my clients, all sent from her Harrison Interiors email address, all cultivating relationships and subtly undermining me. We deposed former employees. 3 of them testified that Lauren had approached them about leaving Harrison Interiors before she'd officially resigned, that she'd been recruiting them to her new venture while still on my payroll. We hired a forensic accountant who traced the timeline of Lauren's business formation. She filed the LLC paperwork for Mitchell Interiors 2 months before she left Harrison Interiors. She'd been planning her exit and her theft for at least that long. We documented every client she'd taken, showed the pattern. She'd systematically targeted my highest revenue accounts, the ones she'd had the most contact with through her work for me. And we found the smoking gun. Lauren had copied my entire client database before she left, exported it to a thumb drive, took my proprietary client list, complete with contact information, project histories, personal notes, and financial data, and used it to launch her own firm. That was straight-up theft, copyright infringement, misappropriation of trade secrets. Patricia filed the lawsuit in March, 2 years after my divorce. The claims: breach of fiduciary duty, misappropriation of trade secrets, tortious interference with business relationships, fraud, and about 6 other causes of action that Patricia assured me would make Lauren's life hell. We weren't just asking for damages. We were asking for disgorgement of profits, meaning Lauren would have to give back every dollar she'd made using my stolen client list. And we were asking for the business itself. Lauren hired expensive lawyers, tried to get the case dismissed, failed. We went to discovery. Her lawyers fought every subpoena, every deposition request. But the evidence was damning and the judge wasn't having it. Lauren tried to settle, offered me money to go away. Not interested, I told Patricia. She's offering $2 million. I want the business, every client, every employee, every contract. I want her name erased and mine restored. That's going to take a trial. Then we go to trial. We went to trial. The courtroom was packed. This wasn't just a business dispute anymore. This was a story. The wronged wife taking back everything her former best friend had stolen. The media loved it, so did the jury. I testified for 2 days, walked them through my friendship with Lauren, the years of trust, hearing her, the affair, the divorce, watching her systematically dismantle my business using relationships she'd built while working for me. She didn't just take my clients, I said. She took my reputation, my work, everything I'd spent 15 years building, and she did it while pretending to be my friend, while sitting in my home, playing with my daughters, telling me she loved me. Lauren's lawyer tried to discredit me, painted me as a bitter ex-wife who couldn't accept that her marriage had failed. Ms. Harrison, isn't it true that your business was already struggling before Ms. Mitchell left? No, it was thriving. And isn't it true that you were difficult to work with, that clients preferred working with Ms. Mitchell? Clients preferred working with the person who was giving them my designs and my ideas at a discount while stealing my proprietary information. Patricia had prepared me well. I didn't flinch, didn't cry, just stated facts. The forensic accountant testified, showed the jury exactly how much of Mitchell Interiors' revenue came from clients she'd taken from me using information she'd stolen while my employee. 92%, he said. 92% of Mitchell Interiors' first-year revenue came from former Harrison Interiors clients. The jury looked at Lauren with disgust. Lauren took the stand in her own defense, tried to claim she'd built her business fairly, that clients had come to her because they liked her work better than mine. Patricia destroyed her on cross-examination. Ms. Mitchell, when did you file the LLC paperwork for Mitchell Interiors? I don't remember exactly. Let me refresh your memory. 2 months before you resigned from Harrison Interiors, were you planning to steal Ms. Harrison's clients when you filed that paperwork? I didn't steal anything. You copied her client database to a thumb drive. We have the forensic evidence. Did you have Ms. Harrison's permission to do that? No, but... Did you use that client list to contact Harrison Interiors, clients after you left? I reached out to people I'd worked with. People who were Ms. Harrison's clients, using her client data that you stole, yes or no? Lauren's lawyer objected. The judge overruled. Yes, Lauren finally said. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They found in my favor on every single count. The judgment: Lauren had to pay me $8.2 million in damages and disgorgement of profits, and she had to transfer ownership of Mitchell Interiors to me. Every client, every contract, every employee, every asset. I got everything back. The day the judgment was finalized, I walked into the Mitchell Interiors office, my office now, as the new owner. Lauren was there, packing her desk. Her employees were watching, uncertain about what came next. I addressed them all at once. My name is Rebecca Harrison. As of today, I'm the owner of this company. Some of you may remember me from Harrison Interiors. Some of you may know me as the person Lauren Mitchell stole this business from. Everyone was silent. Here, what's going to happen? This company will be rebranded as Harrison Interiors. Lauren will be leaving immediately. For those of you who want to stay, you're welcome to. For those who don't, I understand. No hard feelings. I looked at Lauren. You have 1 hour to clear out your desk. Lauren's face was pale. Rebecca. Don't. I kept my voice level. You took my husband, my home, my business, my life. You did it deliberately, methodically, over years. And you smiled in my face while you did it. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you lost. But you're not sorry for what you did, and I don't want your apology. I turned to the employees. Meeting in the conference room in 30 minutes. Lauren won't be joining us. I walked away, went to my new office, the one that had been Lauren's, sat behind the desk, looked at the view. This was it. I'd done it. I'd taken everything back. Lauren left that day, quietly, without drama, just packed her things and left. I never saw her again. That was 3 years ago. Harrison Interiors is thriving now, bigger than it ever was before. I've won back almost all my old clients. I've hired a talented team. I've expanded into commercial design. I bought a house in Scarsdale, not the old one that had been sold years ago, but a new one, even better, designed by me from the ground up. My daughters live with me now, full-time. James didn't handle Lauren's fall from grace very well. His image-conscious nature couldn't cope with being married to a woman who'd been publicly exposed as a fraud and a thief. They divorced a year after my lawsuit. Emma is 19 now, studying architecture at Cornell. She wants to join my firm after graduation. Sophie is 16 and still deciding what she wants to be. Both of them understand now what Lauren did. Both of them have apologized for believing her lies. I told them the same thing I told myself when I was rebuilding. You weren't the ones who should be sorry. You were manipulated by someone you trusted. That's not your fault. James and I are cordial. He pays child support, sees the girls occasionally. But he's not part of my life anymore in any meaningful way. Lauren, from what I've heard, is working at a small design firm in Connecticut. Entry-level position, making a fraction of what she used to make, living in a small apartment, alone. Everything she built on the ruins of my life is gone, and everything I built from the ruins of what she destroyed is stronger than before. People ask me sometimes if I'm glad I fought back, if the revenge was worth it. I tell them it wasn't revenge, it was justice. Revenge would have been destroying Lauren for the sake of destruction. Justice was taking back what was mine and holding her accountable for what she'd done. I learned that betrayal from someone you trust is worse than betrayal from an enemy because you never see it coming. That the people who smile in your face can be the ones doing the most damage behind your back. I learned that systems of justice work if you have the resources and the tenacity to use them. That good lawyers matter. That documentation matters. that patience and strategy matter more than anger. I learned that you can lose everything, your marriage, your home, your business, your friends, and still rebuild. That rock bottom is not the end. That you can be 42 years old with nothing and still come back stronger. I learned that the best revenge is not destruction. It's success. It's taking everything they thought they'd taken from you and building it into something better. It's living well while they fall apart. Lauren took my husband. I didn't want him back. She took my house. I built a better one. She took my business. I took it back and made it stronger. She took my life. I built a new one. She built her success on the ruins of what she destroyed. And I took everything she built and turned it back into mine. Some people would say I should forgive her, move on, let go of the anger. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. Lauren Mitchell taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. Trust carefully, document thoroughly, and never, ever underestimate a woman who has nothing left to lose. I had nothing. Now I have everything. And she's the one with nothing. That's not revenge. That's karma.